If you have enough money to do something and you're not doing the thing that you want to do because even though you have the money, that, ladies and gentlemen, is called a scarcity belief. You have a mindset blockage around spending the money that you have on the thing that you want because you've been told something, and that thing that you told is creating what's called a disalignment. And then you're going to create the craft and the mindset in your story of like, oh, one day I will be able to, but like you're physically able and you have the money to do it. So if you're not doing it, it's because you're scared.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pivot to Profit. I am so pumped for this amazing conversation. Today we have Jerremy Newsome from The Wealth Alchemist. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Legend. How are you? I'm doing amazing. This is going to be such a fun chat and combo.
Let's do it. Let me officially introduce how amazing you are. So Jerremy Newsome is an entrepreneur, investor, and wealth coach on a mission to transform how people think about money and success. From going into debt early in life to building multiple 7- and 8-figure businesses, his business has shaped a powerful perspective on what true wealth really means. After early investments in companies like Tesla, Apple, Ethereum, Jerremy realized that financial success alone isn't enough. It's about freedom, fulfillment, and alignment in all areas of life. Today, he's gonna break down all of our limiting beliefs and talk about investment and intention and the business and beyond. Let's go, Jerremy. This is awesome. I always start with this simple question of what did little Jerremy want to be when he grew up?
President of the United States of America. Well, people ask me, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, what else would you want to do? And people always look at me kind of crazy. Like, not that, dude. That's a weird one.
Hey, but for a little kid, it looks attractive. Then you come a grown up and you're like, no, I don't want that job.
It's going to be a tough one, that's for sure.
So tell me, what did you learn about money as a kid? Was money good? Was money bad?
Money was very rarely talked about. It was very hidden. I wouldn't call it scarce. That is a very, very common word when people start thinking about their early childhood memories around money. But it was, I would just say like mysterious, you know? It was probably more than scarce because no one knew if it was good or bad. We had so little of it and we just never really talked about it ultimately. And the things we did talk about, you know, from my parents' perspective, it was just always like around stress and not really having enough and not really being able to do the things we wanted to do. But we were so happy because we lived a very, very impoverished life physically, meaning like we didn't have a lot of things. I grew up in a single wide trailer tree house. It was like a redneck Swiss Family Robinson. Bunch of single wide trailers put into a tree. It's weird. I mean, in the middle of absolute nowhere, Georgia, right? So no air conditioning, no running water, no real AC. It was a little bit weird, but we would go play in the river all the time. We were always doing things that were free, that were fun. So I had a very free life. We just didn't have a lot of money.
So let's talk about early career. You built multiple companies, but let's start at the beginning. Like, where did Jerremy start? Did you do corporate? Did you start out the gate? Did you college? What was the early story for you?
I'm going to give you two early stories. So the one where I started understanding that you can do something different with money was from the movie Forrest Gump. So 80% of the way through the movie, Forrest Gump starts kind of like recounting his life. And he says, Lieutenant Dan invested into some kind of fruit company and said, we don't have to worry about money no more. And I'd never heard anyone ever say we don't have to worry about money. That was a paradigm shift. So I asked my dad, like, what is a fruit company? And so obviously he told me about Apple computers. So I begged him and begged him and begged him to buy some Apple computer shares. And we actually ended up doing that in 1995. I sold BlackBerries door to door, made like $1,500. A bunch of old ladies would give me like $10 and $20 and $5 because I was cute and shoeless and shirtless, wearing jean shorts. So, you know, my close rate was pretty good. Selling BlackBerries. My dad matched it. We bought $3,000 worth of Apple in 1995, which is like the exact bottom. We sold those shares in 2000 when I was 12 and made about 12 grand profit. And I've been hooked ever since. So I ended up going to finance at the University of Florida because I thought in college they would teach you stocks and day trading and money and investing and wealth and all the things, which obviously they didn't. And yeah, I did also do the corporate route because my dad told me I should, right? I worked at Nationwide Insurance, Fortune 100 company. I was a call center rep, so don't think I'm that cool. I was ground level, entry level, but I crushed that job. Yeah, I was slaying it. And I worked as much as humanly possible. As much as they would allow me to be there and get paid for it, I did. I understood what overtime was. That was cool. Shift differential, that was cool. Making $13.89 an hour, but I was working about 85 hours a week at Nationwide Insurance. And then I took all my money, put it into my 401k. So I learned about 401ks. So I did the corporate route and started trading in my 401k. And that's why I started reading. I read a packet. I had a lady drop off a 401k packet. And since I was going to school for finance, I was like, maybe I should read this cover to cover. And I did. And I read it and I learned so much about investing and trading through 401ks. And I started trading the stock market in my 401k. And that's when I made my first $3,000 trade. I bought First Majestic Silver, ticker symbol AG, because of the periodic symbol for silver. It's still around. I bought it at $9, sold it at 12. I had 1,000 shares, made $3,000, which was more than I made generally in a month at work. And that gave me the biggest financial boost of all time.
And that was the unlock. So that was the early win of like, holy cow, this trading thing can work. So how did you learn trading? Because it seems mysterious and confusing. I've heard you speak on stage about it. Like, how did you learn all of this? The cuts and the calls and the puts and all the things. Like, because there's books about it and there's, TV shows, but it still seems confusing and overwhelming for the average person. So where did you figure this all out?
Well, that very first trade was the time where I was like, wait a minute, is this just math? Because the formula I did is, at the time when I bought First Majestic Silver, I had $9,000 in my 401k, $9,000. So every single person listening here has $9,000 of access of cash somewhere. So I'm 18 and a half, 19 years old. So it's not that much money. $9,000, and the stock was trading at $9. So I was like, how many shares can I buy with 9,000? So I took 9,000 divided by 9, 1,000 shares. That was it. So I bought it at math, right? And then the stock went up $3. So 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. And that happened in 4 days, by the way. So then I was like, well, what's 365 divided by 4? Which is like 120. And I was like, what if I made $3,000 120 times a year? That's 360 grand. I mean, that is more money than I can even imagine at the time. And that's when again, back to the math thing, I was like, what if I just buy a stock? Hold on, Pam. Hold on, listeners. Are you guys ready? What if I just bought a stock and just sold it higher than I bought it for?
What?
Yeah, crazy. And I just started doing that a lot. That was literally it, as I just did First Majestic Silver over and over and over and over for the next couple of years. Well, my dad gave me his retirement money, and then he had 3 of those other friends give me their retirement money. So at the age of 20, I was trading $400,000 of other people's money. Don't do this, by the way. That is financial advice. Don't do that. And and took that 400 grand and turned it into 1.2 million. And so then I became obsessed about learning the markets. And then obviously, every listener knows I lost all of it, every single dollar in like a week and a half, buying something I did not know what it was, which is called a call option. So when you lose $1.2 million of other people's money at the age of 21, you go, man, I should probably study this more. So I call all the investors. I tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to pay you back with interest. And I become an absolute fanatic. And so I dedicate, unexaggeratingly, 12 hours a day, every day, to studying this stuff, reading books, attending seminars, watching videos, doing webinars, buying courses, buying classes, going into debt, using credit cards, cash advance loans, anything I can get my hands on to learn and study. And I become obsessed. And I buy TV monitors, I buy computers. I go to 24-hour smoothie cafes, Tropical Smoothie, shout outs to them in Gainesville, Florida. I would set up 2 monitors at a Tropical Smoothie and just watch the markets for hours. I became obsessed. I became a madman. I end up force feeding myself how to learn it. And that's kind of how you learn anything, is you get punched in the mouth and then you figure out, do I still want to get punched in the mouth or do I not want to get punched in the mouth?
That's crazy. And so now, the Wealth Alchemist, what are you doing? You're coaching people, but help us understand what that looks like.
That's really kind of my main thing right now. So I created, accidentally, unfortunately, the 3rd largest online stock market education company on earth. It's called Real Life Trading. It's still around. It's incredible. I sold it to my internal team. And the reason I sold it is because it got too big for me to handle by myself, and I became the face of the company, which wasn't really ever my goal. And I had other things, back to being the president, I had other things I needed to start focusing on, and political journeys and concepts that I needed to start creating from the ground up. So the company is incredible. We offer what's called a freemium product. So all the education is free. And if you want to pay for like one-on-one hand-holding, you can do that. And so now, presently, what I'm doing with the Wealth Alchemist is I work with the top 1% or people who want to become in the top 1% so that I can change the top 1% into the top 2%. I know that that is a very, very real statistic when people put into the newspapers or into Barron's or into news articles, right? And they're like, the top 1% have all the money. I think it'd just be so cool to say the top 2% have all of the money in the world, because that's a real actual change. So I work with high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals, celebrities, actors, musicians. I take small group containers and we'll do small group classes or just one-on-one coaching, because I retired at the age of 24 when I left Nationwide Insurance and started trading full time. So I guess I'm kind of retired again, maybe. But ultimately, I'm in a spot where I no longer have to worry about money anymore, which is really cool. And that's very, very fortunate. And I now just help other people understand how money works.
And you're a husband and a father, and so that's a huge, beautiful part of your story. You don't have to worry about money anymore, and you got kids that you can be present for.
Yeah, and I am. I hang out with them a lot. Like every day, if I'm home, I'm spending somewhere between 2 to 4 hours with my kids, playing on the floor, drawing, doing math equations, taking the kids to school, dropping them off to school. I mean, let my wife build up a business, doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm full dad mode right now, and it's really nice. And you still can have plenty of time to take naps with the kids, to do all the things, and then also do podcasts and hang out with the great people and travel and go to events. So it's a really great life.
Awesome, awesome. So let's talk about entrepreneurs and business owners who are in the grind, running their business. Payroll comes every week or every other week. They're always trying to chase the new client. They might have a 401k, have a little bit of savings. Most business owners think their business is their biggest asset. And there's statistics saying 60 to 80% will never sell. So what can an entrepreneur do outside of the grind of their business to help build wealth with the brilliance that you have?
Well, here's the really cool, the statistic you just mentioned, 60, 80%. If you never sell anything, it's very, very hard to have liquidity. And so as a business owner, the only way you're making money, right? Think about this, right? The only way you're making money is by working. That's it. Or having someone else work and you're managing them. So you have someone spending time for money. Now, granted, you always have to spend time for money. Don't ever let people tell you like, oh, passive income, just make money. No, you still have to spend time for money. The time can just be shrinked. It could become a little bit of a different time measurement, but you're always going to be spending time. Here's my truest advice when it comes to business owners. If you're a business owner and you're struggling, it's because you don't have a foundation of wealth and math understanding outside of your business, and your brain knows it. And so your brain's like, man, you're going to get tired one day, and when you get tired, you're not going to have a bunch of money. Because all entrepreneurs that I've ever worked with believe that they have to have millions to actually make a dent in their money game. And although if you have millions, it's a lot easier to make hundreds of thousands a year, if you don't have any money, it's really challenging to make any money on your money when you have no money. So start with $1, like a literal dollar, $1 a day, $1 a week, $10. Take a amount of money and then go buy an asset so that your brain can start understanding that you as a business owner own other assets. And as a business owner, you can go buy other businesses that are making profitable products that people are buying. Because if a company makes more products and people buy more products, their revenue is going to increase. And if that company has a lot more revenue, they probably will have more profits at some point. And if you're making more profits and you're making more revenue and you're making more products, the company's value is going to increase, AKA buy the shares. So if you're a company, you can buy shares of other companies with your company, right? So let's say you have Pamela's Coffee and you own a coffee store. You can go buy competitors' shares, right? You can buy Dutch Brothers. You can buy Starbucks. So if your Pam's Coffee customers go and buy coffee from another place, Black Rifle Coffee is also publicly traded. You can go own literally your competitors' companies and make money. And you can do that through a business. Your business can go buy other businesses. And now you're making money on your money without having to do a lot of effort and a lot of lifting. And granted, yes, do that for 2 months, you're not going to see any change at all. The needle's not going to move even remotely. But when you do it for 2 years and then 5 years, what begins to happen is you have a compounding effect. And that compounding effect is what everyone is afraid of, because no one is willing to do something every single day to see that result. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built every day.
Yeah, one block, one block. So it's using the resources you have to invest in assets. And you teach people, business owners, W-2s, retirees, high net worth individuals, how to leverage stocks. Is this they're going on and buying and trading themselves, or you're teaching them how to do it?
Yep, exactly. I'm teaching them how to do it, how to take full control over their money. So I don't manage their money. I don't have a license. In fact, I actually work with a lot of RIAs, which is registered investment advisors, and money managers and wealth advisors and financial planners. I work with those individuals all the time because my skill set is trading, right? Trading meaning buying something and then selling it days or hours or weeks later for a higher profit. Just a super fast numbers example so that people here are listening. So there's a company out there called AMD. AMD is Advanced Micro Devices. They make most of the computer chips in every computer that you're using. So if you're listening to this, watching this, or hearing this, there's an AMD chip somewhere around you. AMD was at $200 2 weeks ago. And I personally thought that AMD was a great purchase at $200, and that's because it went from $200 to $260 from November to January, and it got back down to $200 in February. So I was like, man, well, it did it just 2.5, 3 months ago. Probably should buy it again. So I did. So AMD, I was able to buy AMD at $200 on March 17th. And today, which is April 17th, 16th, all right, a month later, AMD is up 34%. Right now, AMD is at $264. So fast math, if you had bought AMD, which is like the 15th largest company on the planet, so you're not like bottom fishing. You're not looking for a random company. You're buying Intel, right? You're buying a humongous company that everyone probably has heard of. You're up 34% in a month on any amount of money. So if you buy $100,000 worth of AMD, you've made $30,000 for free, doing nothing. Now, guess what? You can sell AMD, which I did today, and you can take that $30,000 and do whatever you want to with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for a couple of weeks of a summer vacation in an RV with my family. So in June and July, we're going to get my RV and we're going to drive around the country and hang out as a family and spend that portion of that 30% doing just that, because you're going to make 30% on any amount of money. That's the best part about the markets. That's the best part about trading. If you did it with $1 million, you would have made $300,000 doing nothing. That is awesome.
And it's just you teaching people how to see and spot the deals, and it's not secrets. It's not inside trading. It's, look, this is a microchip that's in your computer. This is historically what it did. Chances are it's going to go up again. Now, all of this is a risk, right? Like, because you can lose money as well.
Temporarily, you're going to lose money. So there's instruments in the stock market that you can purchase that work as insurance contracts. So every single person listening has an insurance policy on their house, on their car, on their health, on their life, but very few people have an insurance policy on their stock. And you can buy insurance on your stocks, which is mind-blowing for most people. And so if I buy AMD at 200, I can buy an insurance policy. As soon as I buy AMD at 200, I can buy an insurance policy at 190. What that means is I now have a $10 of risk, where if AMD goes to 150, I can sell my AMD shares at 190, because that's the insurance policy that I bought. Even though AMD is trading on the open market at 150, I can sell it at 190. And so yes, I will lose money. Absolutely, right? From 200 to 190, you're going to lose 10 points per share. But it's a lot better than losing 50 points per share. And so then you sell your shares at 190 and you go buy something else or try it again with something else. However, if you wait long enough and you hold the position long enough and you insure it and you buy it at the right time and all the things, the likelihood of winning increases pretty dramatically. And I will risk $10 to make $60 for the rest of my life. Like, that's just a really good risk reward measurement. And if you risk 10 to make 60, it's going to come out pretty well.
Perfect. So what's on the horizon for you? What's next for you?
The next big thing, Pam, is I'm going to launch a book this year that I'm writing. And the book is going to be called Be Rich Like Jesus. And it's going to be a very healing, very healing book around money and the spirituality of money. I feel like there's a lot of people that get trapped in the nobility of poverty, and they want to feel this incredible sense of pride of being humble because they're so poor. And I think actually it's very easy to be humble if you're poor. It's a lot more of a challenge and like a crucible to be very humble and be extremely wealthy. And having the disparity and knowing how life feels when you're poor and broke, which I have been for the majority of my life, and then knowing how to feel when you're, excessively and ultra rich. I think that that's a very, very fun feeling to have both of those things in your life and to understand what they are and to see which one you like the most. Neither one of them is bad. Neither one of them is good. They're just a sense of being, and you get to determine how you feel and how you enjoy and how you move in that sphere. So that's the next big thing, is writing that. I'm going to create a bunch of content and videos and programs around that because I know how healing the money journey can be. And as you start removing your blocks and removing the fears and removing the trepidation around shining brightly and letting people know that you have a bunch of money, that in itself, right? That like the tailored approach of saying, listen, yes, I'm rich. Yes, I'm wealthy. Yes, I have money. And I can be an extremely kind, loving, and remarkable human being and care for people and nurture them and guide them and allow them to feel safe around wealth. That element to me is just so inspiring and so wonderful. And that's how I try to embody my life.
That's beautiful. And spirituality and money and mindset are so tied together. And there are some people that have done the work and you can see it with their lifestyle. You can see that, yes, they have abundance, but they also have joy and they have impact. And they're doing things for the world and for others with their money. And then you can see people who have not done the work and you do not see the fruits of what they've done.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very perfect example. I mean, individuals all the time, very often, that will have, let's just say, in excess of $600,000 of capital in their name, Mike. And they're like, man, I would love one day to be able to travel the world with my family. Let's just take this as an example. So you have $600,000 to your name. And you're like, one day I'd love to be able to travel with my family. I go, well, homie, you have $600,000. How much do you think it costs to travel the world with your family? The whole world is knock yourself out. Now, are you going to fly business class on every single flight and stay at the Four Seasons? You can, but you might drain through that $600,000 in a year, right? If you're doing absolute insane luxury the whole trip. And I have access to $600,000 of liquid money, and I can tell you that you do not need that amount of money to travel the entire world with a family of 5. It might be about 120 grand. Like, you can stay in really nice Airbnbs, and really, like, I could stay in an Airbnb anywhere on earth for a month for $4,000 or less. Anywhere. Miami, Singapore, Bali. Like, for $4,000 in Bali, you can get a palace with a chef and a massage, like a massage person to like, and a cook and a maid and a sauna and a cold plunge. It's amazing what you can get for $4,000 in Bali. So saying all that to say, it's like, you are able, so that's a mindset. It's literally a mindset. If you have enough money to do something and you're not doing the thing that you want to do because even though you have the money, that, ladies and gentlemen, is called a scarcity belief. You have a mindset blockage around spending the money that you have on the thing that you want because you've been told something, and that thing that you told is creating what's called a disalignment. And then you're going to create the craft and the mindset in your story of like, oh, one day I will be able to, but like, you're physically able and you have the money to do it. So if you're not doing it, it's because you're scared. If you're scared, it's because you have a limiting belief around the thing. That's it. But that's an example of doing the work.
Again, it's so evident in people's life and the fruits of what they are doing if they've done the work and they have the mindset and they're free of the scarcity mindset. And you can see people who are trapped by it and they're miserable and they've got the 600,000 and they're missing soccer games and dinners with their families because it's just not enough.
You know why it doesn't feel like enough, Pam? It doesn't feel like enough because they don't have the feeling attached to what actually enough is. They're not using the money to start to feel something. Because again, with $600,000, I can help an individual very, very, very easily make somewhere between $15,000 to $25,000 a month cash flow off of 600 grand. Which is unheard of, but it's very easy in my world to do that. And so $15,000 to $25,000 a month is, first of all, incredible. It's a really great income. But number two, right? Number two is the $5,000 is probably all most people need to buy a level of happiness every single month. $5,000 extra dollars a month. For $5,000, me and my wife can fly Southwest Airlines to any place in the United States, essentially round trip, stay in a mediocrely decent hotel, not a Four Seasons, but a nice Hilton or something somewhere, and then eat incredible food and get custom-made, bespoke, one-of-a-kind clothing if we wanted to, and fly back for less than $5,000. Spend some money on your happiness. When people tell you that money can't buy happiness, they haven't been broke enough. or they don't know where to shop. I've never seen anyone frown on a jet ski, ever. So spend a little bit of money so that you can know what like you said, the feeling of actually having something, that you have to acquire that with money. And if you acquire that with money, you're actually going to feel a lot better about having the money that you have.
Exactly. And I think business owners struggle because there's a goal. They're like, once I get to this number, it's going to be fine. Or once I hit this many customers or this many whatever. And as entrepreneurs, we're achievers. And so we hit that goal and we look around and there's no parade, there's no balloons. And so then it's like, okay, well, let me just raise the bar. I recently had a conversation with an entrepreneur, very successful in her field. And she did that. She had a goal and she met it. And then she's like, well, now what? Right? Like, I don't feel any better. And so then it's like, okay, well, do you have money? Yeah. Are your bills paid? Yeah. Okay, well, let's redefine what happiness is, because reaching that one goal didn't bring happiness. So it's not about a revenue threshold. It's what can the money and the freedom bring that brings happiness. Making the soccer game, taking the RV trip, going around the world, having a long weekend with your spouse or your partner, like that can be happiness. It doesn't have to be a big revenue goal or money in the bank. And then there's tools out there like what you teach that can take small amounts and make it bigger so that you can have that freedom to go on that trip or be home for dinner or whatever it is.
Bingo. Yeah, it's the feeling of it. Like, you actually have to embrace the money, because here's a cool math fact. We talked a lot about math and numbers today. Math fact, you're all going to die in less than 100 years. Every single person listening to this is 100% toast in less than 100 years. That's a math fact. That's a guarantee. You're like, no, Newsome, I don't want. Sorry, dude. I studied history, right? And every single person so far, they tapped out. They're like, no, life is over. I'm done. That's going to occur, number one. Number two, can't take it with you, right? So you're going to die. Have a little bit of fun. Spend your money. Your kids probably don't want your money anyway. They want time with you. And I have a really good video that's popping off right now from one of our buddies, Jerremy Davenport, who helped me make it from the Four Rooms Mastermind that both Pam and I are a part of. Jeremy came up and we filmed some social media. He sat down, I took my kid to school, and he turned around and looked at Jason and said, hey, Jason, do you want $10,000 or do you want to play Legos with your dad for an hour later today? He's like, Legos. They don't want your money, right? They want your time. They want your presence. Presence is the best present. And guess how much presents cost? $0. All the best things you want in life are generally free. You don't need the money for them anyway. Go enjoy them. Go actually tell yourself that you can be. You're not able. You are able now. Start doing it. And you'll live a better life. You'll be happier. And guess what? Guess what happens when you're happier? You start attracting more money. That's what happens when you're happier. Happier people generally tend to and can accelerate the speed of their attractiveness of money very quickly.
Beautiful place to stop. Jeremy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Where can people connect with you?
Best place to just track me down on any socials. Just throw my name into Google. I'm Googleable, which is dope. But my name has 2 R's in it. My dad's name was Jerry, so it stands for Jerry and Me. Jerremy, Newsome, Newsome. All the social medias, do all the things, type it in, just reach out. I have an incredible team, and I do message every single person that messages me back. So hit me up and let me know how I can help you.
Jeremy, you're a beautiful human. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Hey, listener, if you need help better understanding your numbers, increase your profitability, making sure that you have money to take advantage of these kinds of things to be able to invest, just go to pamjordan.com. My team would love to have a call with you. And remember, it's not what you make that matters, it's what you keep.